It is a cold, foggy morning in November 1974. A patrol of South Korean soldiers is moving silently through the Korean Demilitarized Zone. Their training tells them to watch for traps, for movement in the trees. But this morning, their senses are screaming something is wrong. They hear a faint sound, a rhythmic, percussive clanking, followed by the muffled thump of an explosion. They stop. Then, they see it. A wisp of steam is rising from a tiny crack in the cold earth, an impossible sight in the heart of a frozen battlefield. They don't know it yet, but they have just found a hidden door. A door built not for a single spy, but for an entire army, and a door built with a terrifying, secret purpose. This is the story of a Cold War waged with picks and dynamite, a story that begins not with a bang, but with a whisper. Since the 1953 armistice, the front line between North and South Korea has been in a state of theoretical stalemate, but with a genuine, unwavering hostility beneath the surface. North Korea's leader, Kim Il-sung, knew his country could not win a conventional war against the combined might of South Korea and the United States. So he turned to a new kind of weapon, a subterranean superhighway designed for a blitzkrieg offensive. The goal was simple: to bypass surface defenses and launch a surprise, large-scale invasion of Seoul, a city of millions, to cause the collapse of South Korean defenses and government overnight. For years, the South Korean military and its American allies knew the threat was real, but finding something so secret, so far underground, was a near impossible task. Military intelligence and defectors reported mysterious underground knocking sounds. Search teams resorted to a mix of low-tech and high-tech methods, planting simple PVC pipes filled with water into the ground, hoping a nearby blast would send a telltale spray into the air. A Korean mineral firm was hired to drill, but after 69 boreholes, they found nothing. The vast and rugged terrain of the DMZ seemed to hold its secrets tightly. But that all changes on November 20th, 1974, when that small patrol stumbles upon the first North Korean tunnel under the DMZ. Its discovery is entirely by accident. A soldier simply sees steam rising from the ground. When they investigate, they find no crude hole, but a sophisticated structure with reinforced concrete walls, electric lighting, and even a narrow-gauge railway system. The mission to explore this tunnel is fraught with danger. Just 5 days later, a U.S. Navy commander and a South Korean major are killed by a North Korean explosive device while on a follow-up expedition. The tunnels were not just an abstract military concept, they were a live, active threat, and this was just the beginning. What they found was just the beginning. The deeper they dug, the more disturbing it became. The first tunnel's discovery triggers a frantic, all-out search. The South Korean Ministry of National Defense turns to the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, FED, and their high-precision drilling expertise. The FED deploys a unit that works around the clock, 24/7, along the entire length of the DMZ. The search is grueling. Weeks turn into months. Then, after 12 days of intense drilling, at a depth of 155 feet, one of the drills hits a void. They had found the second tunnel. It was a passage so wide that South Korean military assessments estimated it could have funneled up to 30,000 soldiers per hour to the south. But what they didn't know was that a single mistake by the North Koreans was about to give away their biggest secret yet. The story's dramatic arc peaks with the discovery of the third tunnel, perhaps the most critical find. On June 10, 1978, a mysterious underground explosion is detected in a borehole near Panmunjom. It wasn't a planned act of aggression, but a colossal mistake by the North Koreans, a failed demolition attempt to destroy their own work. This single error was a gift to the South Koreans. It gave them the precise location of the most dangerous North Korean tunnel yet. They didn't know it then, but this was a major turning point in the silent war underground. The tunnel was a masterpiece of clandestine engineering, 1.6 kilometers long, running through solid granite at a depth of 73 meters, and located just 44 kilometers from Seoul, the South Korean capital.
When the United Nations Command formally protests the tunnel, North Korea attempts to claim it's just a coal mine. They even blacken the walls to try and sell the lie. But scientists expose the deception. Geological analysis reveals the truth. The tunnel is dug through hard, igneous granite, a stone of volcanic origin. It's a lie that reveals a deeper truth, that the tunnels were designed not only for physical invasion, but for strategic deception. But the tunnels hide a darker secret than just the lie. They reveal the true, brutal cost of the regime's ambitions. Reports from human rights organizations and defectors confirm that the tunnels were built with forced labor. Political prisoners, famine victims, and enslaved citizens were likely forced into shock brigades to dig through the hard granite. The conditions were horrific, and dozens, possibly hundreds of people died from collapses and hazardous environments. One former North Korean sergeant, Lee So-yeon, who was forced to work in coal mines, describes the hunger as unbearable and says workers were forced to dig with their bare hands without any tools. The regime never acknowledges these deaths. Instead, they publicly glorify them as a sacrifice to the leader.
These human beings are the true ghosts in North Korea's subterranean machine. The discovery of the 4 North Korean tunnels was not the final chapter, but the beginning of a grim new understanding of the state. The tunnels were not isolated projects, but a symptom of a much larger, nationwide reality. This is a nation that is obsessed with survival. The tunnels are connected to a vast network of underground facilities that crisscross the country. The Pyongyang Metro, for instance, is the world's deepest subway system, doubling as a vast military bunker. Satellite images reveal multiple tunnel entrances near Kim Jong-un's office and villas, hinting at a robust underground network designed to protect the top leadership from a decapitation strike. North Korea, more than any other nation on Earth, is a true subterranean state. But the most chilling and unresolved element is then brought to the forefront. While 4 major North Korean tunnels under the DMZ have been found and neutralized, intelligence fears that as many as 20 or more may still exist, some possibly closer to Seoul than the ones already found. This unresolved threat adds a constant, chilling reality to the situation. The war is not over. The search continues, with South Korean and American forces using modern seismic sensors and ground-penetrating radar to hunt for the unseen threat. The tunnels act as a fear weapon. A retired general named Han Sung-chu recounts an unverified story about residents of a Seoul apartment building who complained of a subsurface disturbance. When his team drilled down to lower cameras, they detected underground explosions, which he believes were North Korean soldiers trying to cover their tracks. This fear that a hidden threat could emerge at any moment is a constant anxiety for South Korean citizens. But there is a final, fascinating twist. The South Korean government has turned 3 of the 4 discovered tunnels into tourist sites. They've been blocked with concrete barricades to prevent infiltration, but visitors can walk down into the cold, dark passages. This is not just tourism, it's a powerful act of counter-propaganda. These tunnels serve as a standing political statement, a warning to a younger generation that may have forgotten the war. They are a physical reminder of the enduring threat from the North, a justification for the massive military presence and the alliance with the United States. The story of the North Korean tunnels is a story of a long war, fought in the dark. A war of technology against brute force, of human rights against exploitation, and of open communication against state-sanctioned lies. While the world's attention is on North Korea's nuclear and missile programs, the ghost of the Cold War lingers on. Because a tourist can now descend into a monument to a war that never happened. But the real fear is not what we have seen. It's what may still lie undiscovered beneath our feet.